Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And in this video I want to share with you guys my ultimate freeze leveling build for the sorceress, and I believe this build will actually scale really well into the mid to late game. So it's what I actually plan on using to speed my way all the way up to 100, and I think it's going to be amazing. There's so much freezing and control and destruction. It's amazing. I can't wait to test this out with the full game launch coming up in less than 2 days now. Chuck down a like on this video for the hype for D4, as well as subscribe to the channel if you guys are looking forward to all the D4 content I will be putting out. And without further ado, let's hop into the build. I have it over here on the d4planner.gg. I will have this link down below in the description for you guys, as well as a quick shout out to our new partner on the channel. We are working with Mobalytics in the launch of D4. I don't know if you guys have heard of them before, but if you haven't, you should. They have this really cool website where you can actually check stuff for Lost Ark as well. I've used them in the past before to check out raid boss health mechanics and stuff like that. And then now they actually have launched the site on Diablo 4, bringing all of this goodness to you guys in the written guide. I will have my full written guide on their website as well. For this video, it will be down below in the description for you guys to go and check out. And it's going to be really detailed and have everything like this. And you can also download their app, and then you can just have like an overlay pop up and show you stuff while you're playing in game. So it's going to be great. I'm really happy to be partnered with them and working with them in Diablo. So really excited to see all of this work with you guys, and thank you guys for giving me opportunity. And let's hop into D4 and go crazy. But back to the build. So on ultimate freeze leveling build, here we go. The aspects are pretty insane for this. I do have one unique there. This is not for the early leveling part. This is much later down the line. Once you can actually start getting those, I believe uniques you can only get once you're in World Tier 3. So once you're above like level 50 going towards level 75-ish is when I believe you can start getting uniques. But don't worry about these. Also, don't put any aspects on your weapon while you are leveling, because you're going to replace your weapon quite often. The best place to actually put aspects would be your boots and your pants. Another really good place is all your amulets. It's a really good place to put aspects, as these you will be upgrading the least. I would say rush your way through Act 1, the Fractured Peaks, and then you get the guaranteed legendary amulet from finishing the story boss that we all did in the beta. And then put an aspect on there, maybe your most important aspect, because you will get the little 50% damage boost if it is on an amulet. And the most important aspect for us while leveling up, I would say by far, is aspect of Piercing Cold, as the build really focuses around using Ice Shards, which will then get buffed over here. Ice Shards pierces 3 to 4 times, dealing 25 to 20% less damage per subsequent enemy hit. And you can find this in Dead Man's Dread, and you see if you put it on amulets, you get plus 50%, or rings and amulets, and then on a weapon plus 100%. But we'll be putting it on rings or amulets. I suggest the amulet if you don't get anything good on it when you actually get it to drop. But nonetheless, that is the aspect you will be going for. And then these are all much later down the line. So if you do end up getting these, you guys can come back and check them. Aspect of Fortune, your lucky hit chance is increased when you have a bear active. We do have a bear active quite often, how the build works. Then we have Snow Veiled Aspect, casting Ice Armor makes you unstoppable. So I thought, since we don't really have many options on Unstoppable Ice Sork, and I am not running Deep Freeze on my build, we'll go with this aspect over there, just to make you unstoppable for 2 to 3 seconds. Really nice to have. Frostborn has up to a so much % chance to freeze enemies for 2 seconds, and when enemies are frozen, that procs the passive on our Ice Shards, and just the whole build like starts to come to life when you start freezing things, as well as vulnerable and all that good stuff. This is a unique, so I'm not sure how hard these will be to find, but anyway, I have chucked it in there. Aspect of Disobedience, you gain increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 25 to 50%. Really nice defensive one just to have. These are quite common. Well, in the betas they were pretty common, so maybe they are pretty common in the launch too. So we'll see how that all goes. Then we got gain movement speed for 3 seconds after teleporting. We'll be teleporting quite often. This one you can unlock in the temple in Dry Steppes as well, so just remember to check all these places you go to. And then skills deal up to 20% increased damage based on your available primary resource when cast, receiving the maximum benefit while you have full primary resource. So we want to really be building up. We will have a lot of mana generation because of how the build works with Blizzard, as well as with Frostbolt. Both of these giving a good chunk of mana. A lot of passives, as well as the last passive giving us a free cast pretty much. And you're just going to do more damage the more resources you have. Obviously, if you're full cast and then you cast Ice Shards, you can do a load of damage. So that makes this build really good for mobbing with all the AoE, as well as killing the bosses. But let's get into the skill tree for you guys. Now I have this all shown over here. If you are going to be using this from level 1, if you check on the Mobalytics in the written guide, I'll show you exactly which ones you want to level up first. Like you won't put 5 points into Frostbolt first. Basically, you'll pick up all the skills and then come back down later and pick up the passives afterwards. So you want to get down to the bottom of the tree as fast as you can. You get to Avalanche around level 34 or 35, I believe it was you need to be, to get enough points to actually get down there. So you really just want to go through all the skills, but go check it out on the Mobilitics written guide. It'll all be there step by step which one you want to level up. So let's get into it. We're going with Frostbolt, Enhanced Frostbolt, Glinting Frostbolt for the mana, the MP, or the mana regeneration, they call it mana in this game. As well as Frostbolt has a 15% chance to explode on chilled enemies, and Frostbolt does chill enemies by default. Well, starts chilling them by 15%. So it's just a little bit of AoE, good mana regen, and it's just keeping to the whole frost theme, as we are going to boost our frost damage quite a lot in the build. Moving on to Ice Shards, the bread and butter of the build. Massive damage with that. Ice Shards has a 40% chance to ricochet to other enemies. Ice Shards always ricochets off of frozen enemies, and you'll be freezing them quite often, so it will be ricocheting pretty much all the time. Well, 99% of the time. Hitting an enemy with 5 Ice Shards in a single cast makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. This is more for boss fights when you're like stuck on the boss and he's the only enemy, so you don't have it all ricocheting around and freezing and exploding stuff happening. So it'll just help you kill bosses a little bit faster. Then we pick up 1 point in Devastation just for the mana. Well, actually we just pick up that to get to this, Elemental Dominance. Your core skills deal 9% increased damage when cast above 50 mana. So this should be happening quite often. And like I said before with the other aspect, the more resources you have when you use, your Ice Shards are going to do more damage. So coming on down, we pick up Teleport, Enhanced Teleport and Shimmering Teleport just for the cooldown reduction as well as the damage reduction. Really good over there to use it. And it's on such a short cooldown already, 11 seconds, as well as it going down by up to 3 seconds. So you could reduce this all the way down to, what's that, like 8 seconds, really fast over there, as well as then getting cooldown reduction later on, maybe leveling up Teleport. And then this is really nice for the damage reduction. So it's a really good mobility skill. It can teleport over objects and like over maps and things. You can even go through walls. And then Glass Cannon, my favorite passive in the Sork tree, always has been when I play a Sork on Diablo 3 as well. Glass Cannon just makes you deal more damage, take a little bit more damage. So really pick this up as soon as you can. And then we go with Ice Armor, Enhanced Ice Armor and Mystical Ice Armor. Damage against vulnerable enemies contributes to 50% more to Ice Armor's barrier. So when enemies are vulnerable, they will be making your ice barrier a little bit stronger. Then we got Frost Nova here. This is a really big part of the build because we'll be freezing enemies, applying freeze, so then activating your passive on your Ice Shards, as well as applying vulnerable. Frost Nova makes enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds, increase to 6 seconds against bosses, because bosses you can't actually freeze. So really, really strong overall. And then this will reduce its cooldown by up to 4 seconds per cast, dropping it down to a 20-second base cast with this over here if you kill enemies. And then with all your cooldown reduction and everything else, it's going to go even way more down. So really good on that. And then this side over here, we just pick up passives. Precision Magic, giving you lucky hit chance, as we do have a lot of stuff proccing with lucky hit later on. And then we go with Align Elements. And then we have Protection over here. Using a cooldown grants 20% of your maximum life as a barrier for 2 seconds. We will be using cooldowns quite often. I mean, this whole tree over here, the defensive tree, is cooldowns. So really nice over there. Just a little bit of a more damage reduction and shields and things. And then Icy Veil, your barriers have a 5% increased duration. We only really pick that up so we can get down to Snap Freeze. Lucky Hit Frost skills have up to a 9% chance to instantly freeze. And if you're instantly freezing everything, that means your Ice Shards are going to instantly be attacking them, and it's just going to be a whole mess, and it's great. Really, really strong over there. And then we have Blizzard over here, because I really like how Blizzard works. It starts chilling enemies. It lasts for 8 seconds, so it's a long duration. Doesn't actually cost that much. Has high lucky hit chance. But then over here, Blizzard deals 25% increased damage to frozen enemies. And then while you have an active Blizzard, your core skills cost 10% less mana. And the less mana they cost, which means you can cast more of them, as well as them having the buff of having more mana more often. So it just really works really well. And then we come to like the most broken passives in the game. Frost skills deal increased damage to elites. So just flat 15% to all of your damage. All of your skills are frost damage except your teleport, but you don't really use teleport as a damage skill. So that's just a flat 15% increase to damage elites for you. And then we have you deal 12% increased cold damage to vulnerable enemies. So that's 12% to all your cold skills again. So all of your skills when enemies are vulnerable, which is quite often in this build. Frigid Breeze, cold damage against vulnerable enemies has up to a 20% chance to generate 15 mana. So again, giving us loads of mana so we can spam more and do more damage. And last but not least, we have Hoarfrost. You deal 9% increased damage to chilled enemies, which is as soon as you hit them with any skill, they're going to be chilled because all your skills are chilling because they're all frost skills. So you'll have that 9% pretty much all the time. And then you'll get the 18% increased damage once they are frozen. So just massive damage multipliers upon damage multipliers upon cold, freeze, vulnerable. That's crazy. I love this build. And then we come down to Avalanche, our key passive, what do you want to call it? Lucky hit. Your frost skills have up to a 10% chance to make your next cast of Ice Shards, Frozen Orb, or Blizzard consume no mana, and your 40% increased damage chance is doubled against vulnerable enemies. So against vulnerable enemies, like a boss for example, if you're at a boss, you see this proc, and then you hit your Frost Nova, and then you right click and you Ice Shards. That's 80% increase on Ice Shards, stacking then with the primary resource one and the Ice Shards damage itself. It's just that boss is gonna like chunk. You're going to do massive chunks when this actually procs. And since we did get the lucky hit earlier on, it's more chance to proc it. It's just, this build really works really well together, and I can't wait to try it out completely. I did play like a scuffed version of this in all the betas. Pretty much didn't really get to use this tree over here because we didn't have enough skill points to get everything, but really strong as well. And then the Paragon board, I have touched in this a little bit. This will all be on the Mobilitics guide, to go check it out there for you guys to follow along, but I'll show you guys. Yeah, we just start up. I'm not sure if this is the best way to go through the Paragon board because I haven't really done that much deep diving into this. I will be getting into a new series where I make deep dives on each of the classes and we go through the Paragon boards one by one and just check them all out. But this is what I could quickly come up with for this build. So I started over there and we picked up exploit over there for dealing damage to vulnerable enemy. Increases your damage by 1% for 6 seconds up to 10%, or 10% multiplier times 10. And then obviously there we picked up the dexterity over there. That's why I picked it up in the starting tree. And then I want to get as much dexterity, int, and willpower as what I've seen to be the most important while we're going up through these. You want to try and not get any strength where you can. And then the first one I picked up was Frigid Fate. Dealing cold damage to vulnerable enemies increases your lucky hit chance by 1% for 5 seconds up to 15%. So stacking with your passive, that's already 30% increased lucky hit chance. So really good over there overall. And you can pick it up quite easily just going off there to the left. I think I might have turned this board around a little bit to actually get it in that position. And then the glyph we picked up here was Winter. Paragon nodes within range gain 40% bonus to their cold damage and damage reduction modifiers. Whenever you chill an enemy, you deal 3% increased cold damage for 10 seconds up to 15%. That's the main reason I took it. I believe Paragon nodes is just all of these, but I didn't quite understand. I guess these two with vulnerable damage, they'll be affected by it as well. But I only really picked it up for that additional bonus there. Really strong, I feel. You can go up there, pick up this vulnerable damage. So this tree is all really about vulnerable damage, which is a lot of your damage anyway. And then damage reduction from vulnerable enemies. So it's nice to get the one early on because you get massive damage multipliers as well as a little bit of damage reduction while you're heading up into the late game. Because once you get to your Paragon board, you will obviously be level 50. So that's when you're trying to get into that tier 3 and it's going to start increasing in difficulty. And then we move on to the next board, Icefall. And I have put in the control regular. For every 5 decks purchased within range, you deal 3% increased damage to crowd control targets. You deal 10% increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies, or instead 20% increased damage to stunned or frozen enemies. So again, that additional bonus being really strong, massive damage multiplier there. As well as this whole tree just giving you a lot of cold damage and chill application. That over there I would pick up last, just for the potion healing there. But I think I picked up this one first, and we came down to the legendary node Icefall. Killing a frozen enemy grants you 15% of your maximum life as a barrier. Just a nice little defense over there, since you'll be killing frozen enemies quite often. And 5 seconds, I mean, more than 5 seconds, you should be killing stuff fast enough anyway. And over there is just damage reduction from chilled. And then we get over here damage to chilled, non-physical damage. I believe that's more damage to chill. And damage reduction from chill. So overall, just a really strong tree. And then I came down and I finished off with an Enchantment Master, just for lack of not knowing what to really do with this last board. The legendary node over here increases your enchantments by 20%. We do have 2 pretty cool enchantments. We go back to, I didn't actually tell you guys, Ice Shards automatically conjures and flies towards frozen enemies. That's why it's so important to freeze enemies. And then we have Frozen Orb. Whenever you cast a non-basic skill, you have a 20% chance to launch a Frozen Orb at nearby enemies. And this orb actually tracks. That's the really cool thing about it. And since Frozen Orb is ice and frost and everything, it's going to just add to all of the frozen chaos. However, you could switch out that Frozen Orb for Fireball if you would like. But when you get to a boss, I would highly suggest switching back off, because Fireball enchantment's not really going to help you much for the boss, but it will help you in AoE clearing, as well as you are playing in a group. Fireball does apply to everyone in your group as well, so just keep that in mind. Then back to our Paragon board over here. So we really finished this tree out with that glyph over there. Enemies deal 13.3% reduced damage to you for 5 seconds after they are no longer frozen. So whenever they come out of their frozen, they will be doing less damage. As well as the top point, you deal 3% damage to chill targets. So for every willpower, I think we had quite a few. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 over there, 6. So that's quite a bit over there that really adds up. 6 times 3. What, 18% increased damage? That's pretty nice. And we have all resist over there, non-physical damage increase. So your cold damage, I would assume, counts as that as well as their non-physical. And there's just your potion healing. So really strong overall. If this board works actually like this and it's achievable in how I've done it like this, I believe this build is going to be extremely strong once we get it up to whatever level we need. Points, this is like using all the points. So this is quite late game, I would assume. But that is it for my leveling into mid-late game Sorc Ultimate Freeze build. Let me know what you guys thought about this. If you have any thoughts on anything I did, maybe some improvements. Join my Discord channel as well, trying to get a community there so we can link all the builds and just have chats about the builds and help each other through Diablo. Good luck in your adventure in Sanctuary, and I will catch you guys in 2 days. We will be going crazy 24 hours on the first day, trying to get as high as we can on the first game. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like and a sub. It helps me out so much, and I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying